We're gonna get started in a comfortable seat this morning. Whatever comfortable looks like for you. You could be sitting on your feet, or so your sit bones are in the earth, and just starting to arrive here on your mat this morning. Close down those eyes. Begin to feel your shoulders unhooking and melting down your back. Maybe swallowing a couple of times and trying to bring some awareness to the front of your throat, and the back of your neck. Bringing some awareness to your spine, noticing if you're trying to sit up perfectly straight and trying to bring a more relaxed, attentive, present posture. Where you're not counting the minutes of how long we're here, but rather finding a place you can really settle into. Relaxing your toes, maybe giving them a light wiggle. Same with your fingers. Maybe straightening one elbow and then the other, and then bending them back. Doing that body scan on your own to see where might be holding tension and where you can bring the space that your breath creates to that area of the body. Once we become still in the body, that's when our mind can really begin to jump. So just notice the thoughts. What we resist persists. That was in our tarot card readings last night. It's a pretty famous quote. So just remembering that to resist the thoughts, to push them away, to meet them as an enemy is to do yourself no service. So they are a part of you. Meet them as a friend. And just imagine them floating away like clouds, and maybe they float back in, but they don't have to hook on to you and take you for a ride. Begin to bring your awareness to your breath, deeply inhaling through your nose, holding for a second at the top, seeing if you can zip in a little more air, and then exhaling out the mouth. And again, inhaling through the nose, letting your belly and ribs expand, zipping a little more in at the top, and then exhaling through your mouth. Continuing just like that. Inhale. And exhale. Again. One more. And meeting me in a child's pose, toes to touch, knees wide, or if it feels good to have your knees in narrow, you can do that too. Making a pillow with your hands in front of you and resting your forehead on that pillow. Continuing that real intentional breath, filling up fully on the inhale and then emptying out completely on the exhale. Rolling your head, that third eye point, gently back and forth on your hands. Really awakening that seat of our intuition, that third eye. Also stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. And coming back to stillness when that feels good. Taking your arms out long now in front of you and then melting that forehead back down to the earth. Relaxing jaw, lips, tongue slackens. Walking both hands over to the right and then melting back down, chest toward the earth, head resting on the earth. Deep inhale into the left side body, visualizing space between the ribs as that fresh prana does its magic, brings its fresh life to your body. Welcome to rest left cheek on the earth if the forehead doesn't feel good. And really slowly walking back towards center, taking a moment there. And then walking left, melting down. You can do forehead or right cheek to the earth. Sending that inhale to right side body, feeling your skin press out. Mm. Mm. And coming back through center, meeting me in all fours, hands under shoulders, hips and knees stacked, all five fingers spread wide so the weight is evenly distributed for your wrists. Spine is neutral. And then drop that head with gravity. Let it be really heavy. And find a breath there. Maybe letting your chest drop toward the earth and those scapula stick up at the sky. And then pressing against the earth to round into that scapula. And then again, chest dropping toward the earth, letting those scapula poke up at the sky. And then pressing against the earth to round. And just returning to neutral spine, maybe swaying those hips side to side, just finding some organic movement here, maybe bringing bum to heels and making some circles around those wrists. One way, and you can reverse directions. Just finding our home in our body, our place in our body, so we can begin to listen to its wisdom. Meeting me back in neutral tabletop, head is heavy, and maybe just rolling it side to side. And then coming to stillness, head rising just a little so that neck is neutral with the spine. Extend right leg back behind you. Foot flex, toes toward the earth, and then bring it up and over to your left side, crossing it over that other leg, that standing leg. And then looking over that left shoulder at your heel, feeling that opening, that expansion in the right side body, and that contraction in the left side body. Breathe here. Mm. Mm. Leg raises back up behind you, and then step it out to the side, planting that foot on the earth, that pinky edge of the foot sort of working its way toward the earth. Keeping left hand planted and twisting right hand up to the sky. You can look down if that feels better on the neck, or you can look up at your hand, or you can titrate between the both, exploring some neck flossing, some neck rotations. Maybe rolling out that wrist in one direction and then the other direction. And returning that hand to the earth. Leg stretches back behind you. We're going to do that again, planting it on the left side and then looking over to the left. Deep inhale, emptying out on the exhale. And leg extends behind, planted on the right side of your mat, and twist. Both hands come out in front of you as you rock back onto that heel and then forward, just exploring the legs. When you want to find stillness, just trusting that and staying there. And rising back up, leg comes back to meet underneath you. We're back in our tabletop. And come back into whatever's child's pose feels good to you. Curled in a tight ball with hands behind or wide legged. And returning to tabletop, extending left leg back behind you, toes flex down toward the earth, up and over to the right side. Look right back at your own foot. Inhaling, feeling the opening in those left ribs, that left hip. Maybe bringing an audible nature to your exhale. Leg back behind you and over to the left, planting foot. Right hand presses into the earth, left hand twists up to the sky. Maybe exploring some neck rotations here, looking down and then up, and really using your breath to guide any movement. Rolling that wrist. And both arms out in front, sitting back on that heel. And then coming up and just sort of rocking back and forth. When you find a place you want to stay, just staying there, taking a couple rounds of breath. Mm. And when you feel complete, meeting me back in that neutral tabletop. Mm. Tucking both toes. This will be our only down dog of the practice, so nobody panic. Toes are tucked, all 10 fingers are spread wide. Lift those hips to the sky. And then bend into one knee and the other. Find your down dog. It's different for everybody. Letting that head hang heavy. Working that chest toward the thighs. Knees as bent as you need them is beautiful. And then with knees really, really bent, tiptoe to the top of your mat. Toes will end up somewhere behind your wrists. Deep, deep bend in the knees. Let that head be heavy. Let that spine round. Let those shoulders almost melt out of their sockets. And then roll up one vertebra at a time, slowly to standing, with your head arriving last. Eyes can be closed here. Hands, palms toward the front. This is your mountain pose. This is a beautiful moment to set an intention for your practice, whether it be trying something new or being extra tender with yourself as you work your way through this morning, play your way through this. This practice was sort of designed with Deb Dana's quote in mind that the mind narrates what the nervous system already knows, that story follows state. So on this beautiful Friday all together, trying to nourish that nervous system, those states of our being, so that maybe our story can begin to transform into something open and joyful and receptive, or whatever those words are for you. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bring them down into heart center. Again, inhale, arms up. Exhale, draw them down toward heart center. Again. Two more. And on this exhale, melting forward over those legs, deep bend into the legs. Let that head be heavy. Maybe swaying one side to the other, grabbing opposite elbow with opposite hand in our dangle pose. Inhaling to a flat back, hands can rest on shins or on thighs. We want that neutral spine, neck in line. And on the exhale, you're going to drop it down, ha, with a ha, and let yourself hang. Let everything be fully relaxed, including your face. Inhale, elongate that spine. Exhale, drop it down. Let that reverberation, that bob happen after the drop down. Inhaling, elongated spine. Dropping down, letting that bob happen like you're a bobblehead on a dashboard. Two more times at your own pace, inhaling, elongate. Exhaling, letting it go. One more time. Grabbing your bolster if you have one and bringing it right in front of you. Planting that left hand on the center of the bolster, bending deeply into that left knee, straightening into that right leg, and twisting right arm up toward the sky. And you're twisting from your navel center. So navel is almost pulling back into the spine, and then you're twisting around that axis. Head can be anywhere. Let it dangle with gravity if that feels better than looking up. Find your flow of breath. Let it flow. Right hand meets left on the bolster, bending into both knees, keeping that right knee really bent, straightening into the left, and twisting left up toward the sky from navel center. Breathing. Can you twist open just a little more? And left hand comes down, meets right. Either step in front of your bolster or move it behind you. Heel toe your feet out to as wide as your mat or wider. Toes are slightly turned out, heels slightly turned in. And find your deep Malasana squat. Option to have two bolsters. Two bolsters, Bill. Sit on both. That looks good. Welcome to find some movement here for sure, or just to remain in stillness. We're going to be here for a bit, so settle in. Find a place where you're not grinning and bearing it, but where you can actually begin to feel a softening in that fascia, all of that connective tissue that runs through our body that does us so good, keeps us alive, but can sometimes keep us trapped in that survival mode. So we meet that fascia with cues of safety and with tenderness and with the connection of others that we trust. And we stay in these poses so that fascia can begin to unbind and unwind. Maybe wiggling those toes, making sure you're not gripping the mat with your feet, dropping that head heavy, chin toward chest if that feels good. You can even explore that rock, one ear to one shoulder, back and forth if that feels good. The pose is yours. We're here for another minute, so make any adjustments you need to find connection with your body instead of that disconnection, that stepping outside. We are stepping within. Three more full breaths here. Maybe exploring our humming on the exhale. And really gently finding your way to a seat. You're welcome to stay sitting on your bolster or to come down to the earth, hugging those knees toward the chest, maybe curling into a little ball, maybe finding a gentle rock. And then just meeting me in your most comfortable seat, using your bolsters however you want. And you're gonna bring your hands into a little gentle fist. You're gonna bring them to your, right below your cheekbone, on your jaw here, and making circular motion with your jaw. You can have your eyes closed. Really letting your head sort of fall onto your knuckles so you're not even having to hold it up. lot of pressure points here, a lot of lymph nodes. Mm. Mm. Keep doing this as long as it feels good to you, truly. But if you want to move on, we're going to begin some tapping. You can tap with gentle fists or you can tap with your fingertips. I like tapping with my fingertips. And we're going to start in our ribs. And you're just going to explore up and down your ribs, in and out, bringing our somatic practice to our traditional yoga practice. They're all for the same beautiful aim of connecting us more deeply, bringing wholeness to mind, body, spirit. And you can move up to your chest, out those pectoral muscles, up toward the collarbone, armpits, really anywhere. There is no wrong place to tap on your body. You can even stay in a spot and inhale into that tap. You'll find the spot. And you can start to slow it, or again, you're welcome to stay here. We're going to bring our hands to our collarbones and just start to almost remove the flesh from the inside the collarbones. Always breathing. Can move to the neck, stroking down your neck or even grabbing those ropes on either side. And if you have some sensitivity in the neck, it's okay to just super gently stroke. Even this, your own touch, this self-havening touch it sends a cue to your vagus nerve that you're safe. And that safety eventually, if we let in love with the safety, that turns into the wholeness of our being. You can bring those hands to the back. You can give it a squeeze in the back of your neck, maybe even squeezing the back of your shoulders. And just lastly, in this self-havening touch series, find the ridge of your skull. You can feel it back there where that occiput is. And maybe taking your thumbs, like I put my hands up in my hair and then I take my thumbs and rub along that ridge. It goes as far as behind the earlobes and then all the way up, just feeling it. As much pressure as feels good or as little. And then returning to stillness. And just noticing any changes, notice anything that's arising. The sort of paradoxical, like part of this practice is when you let yourself start to finally rest and start to finally recognize the safety of our lives. That's when some of the fear can arise. That's the ego wanting to bring you back into that survival state, and you meet that as a friend too. Let your soul that that knows of the innate love in the universe or God or whatever you call it, that something bigger we're all a part of. Meet it with that soul. Meet it with your breath. Maybe a little smile on your lips. Sometimes I forget this is supposed to be playful. And then reaching far out with your left hand to the left side and bending over, trying to keep that chest open to the sky. Option to put the bolster up under your hand so that you're raising the ground up a little bit. That can be a really good place to be. I can even use this blanket. And then rounding forward, rounding spine, chin to chest, like you're hugging a big tree. And then expanding open, cactus arms, shining heart, dropping head back. We're going to flow through this a few times. So find your flow, reaching out to the right. One round of breath there, and then rounding forward, hugging that tree, and then opening. Inhale, left. Round forward. Expand. Just continue like this at your own pace, taking with you what serves you and leaving behind what doesn't. And finish this flow wherever you are. Meeting me in dragonfly, both legs open up to the sides, as wide or as narrow as you need. Mine are just slightly outside of my yoga mat. And you're going to take your bolsters or whatever props you have. We're going to do a forward fold. Forward folds amazing for nourishing the parasympathetic nervous system. So I recommend taking 2 bolsters if you have them, making it as high as you can. Jan, would you give Mom your bolster? Thank you. And you can put them lengthwise or you can put them horizontal, just sort of explore. We're going to be in this pose for a few minutes, so you'll have time to make adjustments. And take a full deep breath with your spine upright, feeling into those feet, maybe doing a couple of ankle rolls in one direction and then the other. And then when you're ready, just really slowly walking those hands out and finding a round in your spine and finding something to rest your head upon. So Amanda, this is where the foam roller could be really good. You could, if it'll balance on the ground, you could almost like do it in this long line and rest your head on the bolster and not even be in that big of a round. You don't have to be in this huge forward fold to reap the benefits. You could be up really high and reap the benefits. If you don't have props, just let your head hang heavy in gravity. We're going to be here for 5 minutes, my friends. We're entering the yin portion of our practice. The 3 principles of yin being finding the edge of a pose, not too much, not too little, just right. And then coming into stillness and staying for a length of time. You can relax your feet. Great place to scan your body again and notice where you're holding and see if you can Visualize a flower opening or a petal dropping or something in nature that indicates to your system a letting go. Inhaling deeply and fully, and making that exhale longer than the inhale. We're here for just one more minute. In this last minute, seeing where else you can soften. Really slowly, just rolling up one vertebra at a time. Putting your bolster over to the left side of your mat. Folding those legs in and up, maybe giving them a big hug, maybe finding a gentle sway. Maybe leaning back and finding some windshield wipers, knees dropping one way and then the other. This can be big with knees coming to earth, or it can be really small. And really, at your own pace, meeting me on your back. Extending left leg out long on the floor and bringing right knee into the chest. Holding the shin. or wherever your hands can interlace. Visualizing the back of your neck touching the earth. Feeling every part of your spine and your shoulder blades touching the earth. And there is a gentle pull with the arms to create that compression in the front hip. And bringing your awareness to the deepening of your breath. And then taking left hand and bringing it to the outside of that right knee. Right arm opens out into a T. And then twisting that knee over toward the left side. Great place to put that leg, that right leg, on the bolster. So you're crossing it over. Yep. Do you want to be flat? You look a little kinked. Do you want to try?
Yeah, let's try.
Can you lay flat? Beautiful. And you're welcome to just stay here and continue to breathe. Or you can bring your right hand over like a rainbow to touch your left. And then open that right hand back up. So you're closing and opening like a book. Closing both hands to touch. And then opening. But knowing that trusting if staying in stillness is what is for you today. And honoring that is all a beautiful part of the practice, too. Trying to open so this lays flat on the earth. Let your chest. Yeah, that's good. And then coming back to stillness, staying open in your twist. Both shoulder blades working their way toward the earth, heart shining up toward the sky, and staying in stillness here for 2 more breaths. And then slowly unwinding back to neutral spine onto the earth and releasing that right leg down to meet left at the bottom of your mat, both legs long. A couple of breaths here before we move into our other side. Now we're just laying flat. You can move any props over to the other side of your mat where you'll want them. Right leg stays out long. Bring that left knee into the chest. Other side. Imagining someone has a string tied to your big toe of your right foot and is pulling it down toward the bottom of your mat, and that there's another string at the top of the crown of your head that's being pulled toward the top of your mat. And it's really just a visualization of that lengthening and maybe bringing energetically some more of that lengthening to this posture. Of course, the breath, the inhale is where we can energetically lengthen. In the exhale, where we can shed some of that unnecessary weight we've been carrying. And when you're ready, finding that twist over across the body with that knee, finding your props to rest them on. We're here for a length of time, so taking the time to get situated. And then opening up so your heart is shining up toward the sky, both shoulder blades on the earth or raising that earth up with a blanket. How's that? Can you twist open? There's a block. Finding your breath, making any adjustments you need to make this pose your own. Notice if you're clutching in your glutes and see if you can just let them go. Relax your facial muscles. And breathe into the twist that's in the trunk of your body and your hips. Breathe into it instead of avoiding your breath going there, bringing that fresh prana to our vital organs. Staying just right here is a beautiful thing if this feels good. If you want to explore that, rainbowing the right arm over to close and oh wait, I'm on the wrong side, aren't I? Sorry guys. Rainbowing that left arm up and over to touch right, and then opening back up and bringing your head with you on that journey so head can look to the right as you're a closed book, and then can turn left as the left arm opens and lays flat. And just make sure you're following your breath or staying in stillness, heart shining up toward the sky. When you feel complete, just coming back to that original twist. One more deep breath on the exhale, letting out a long sigh. And really slowly and mindfully unwinding this pose and taking a moment just in stillness, both legs extended out long. Option to just stay here and find your final resting pose, or to take your bolster, plant both feet into the earth, knees up toward the sky, and lift your hips and slide your bolster underneath sacrum or low spine in a supported bridge pose. Do you want to try some? Beautiful. You can open those knees a little bit, relax those feet. Gorgeous. Beautiful. Relax those hands. The mind narrates what the nervous system already knows. Story follows state. So, in these last moments of our practice, really giving yourself some deep, deep gratitude for coming on your mat to pay some attention and some love to your state. Everything begins to shift around that. Option to stay in your supported bridge for your Shavasana if it feels good. Otherwise, remove that bolster and just come to laying down, legs wider than your mat, arms wide, and just find that Shavasana corpse pose. One last body scan. Notice where you can let go and release. We're going to end our practice in Shavasana. I encourage you to stay here as long as you can. When you do wake yourself up, just do it really slowly. awaken every part of you. We'll end our practice with 3 little rings of my little bowl to indicate mind, body, and spirit and their wholeness. Namaste.